my video Understanding Tarot Cards. I hope you will stay with me as I venture through the meaning of each major arcana card. In this video I will be looking at the meaning of the Fool and the Magician. Without the notion of zero, a system of mathematics becomes meaningless. Similarly, the Fool is an essential part of the tarot because he is the spark that sets everything in motion. The divine breath that gives life and inspires the first step towards fulfillment and completion. Though the first step down a long path may often seem small in comparison to the journey, the first step is vital, because without it there would be no journey at all. The Fool is the cause behind all effects, the power behind all manifestations, and the seeds of the end sown at the very beginning. The Fool is unmoulded potential, pure and innocent, neither positive nor negative, yet containing the possibility of both. He is the unconditioned soul about to come into manifestation for the first time, to start learning the lessons of the world. Though everyone calls him a fool, he does not pay any attention, and he simply goes on his way. Certainly they can be justified, since his ignorance of the world can lead him to do things that more experienced people would never imagine. But in these things, he can find knowledge and enlightenment. He does not care what others think or say about him, because he knows that what he is doing is right for him. His approach to life is a strange, unconventional one, because he does what is comfortable for him. This is a viewpoint not often supported in our modern world, in which do as I say is the commandment most followed. To those who have lived their life under this philosophy, the approach of the Fool may be extravagant, shocking, even frightening, but this approach is all that the Fool knows, and because the only approval he requires is his own, he will continue to live this way, despite what others think of him. He has total faith in himself. Perhaps he is not such a fool after all. The Fool does not hide himself from the light, because he is the light, the wonderful light that shines out of every child before they see the world and are forced to build up so many walls and barriers to protect themselves. The innocence of a child, sadly, is something rarely found outside of children, even though a lot of people could use it these days. With this innocence comes perfect trust, fearlessness in others, and total self-reliance. It allows you to see the world with new eyes and learn new things every day of your life. Think of how much better the world would be if everyone acted this way. It's a shame that only children and the Fool see this light. The Fool almost always stands for new beginnings, new experiences and new choices, the first steps towards a new path, and the first words written into a blank page. Like the aces of the minor arcana, such beginnings are like the Fool himself, neither positive nor negative, but with the potential to turn into either, depending on the choices you make and the path you follow. But this must not be your concern, because when a journey begins, no one can know, or should know, what will happen on the way to their destination. Never let another person control your life. Live in the present and trust your own abilities. This is the way of the Fool. Such journeys always imply a degree of risk, and hence the Fool is pictured walking towards the edge of a cliff. With any new experience, there is always the risk of failure and the certainty of change. It is the degree of change and how change will appear that are undeterminable, but the fool has no qualms about taking chances, so why should you? It is through the first steps that we learn to walk, and it is through changes that we learn how to live our lives in harmony. So jump head first into the abyss of the unknown, and know that even if you eventually fall to the ground, for a while you will soar. The magician's number is 1, the number of creation and individuality. His power is transformation through the use of his will. In his manipulation of the basic elements into all of the substances and materials of life, he shows us that from a foundation of the mundane can emerge all that is to come. He can take the nothing from which the fool emerged and shape it into something, making 1 out of 0. Clearly, this is power of a divine sort, and it is true that the magician is a conduit for a higher power, which commands all of the material world. Since all that we can see in the physical world is the conduit himself, the acts he performs often seem like magic. The magician may seem like a strange title for someone who holds real power, because the word magician tends to conjure up pictures of illusionists and escape artists, whose power involves sleight of hand and misdirection. The magician, however, is similar to the stage illusionist in many ways. He is confident in his skills and his ability to produce the effects that he wants. His real power comes from sources outside of him, and he is powerless without these sources, just as an illusionist depends on people behind the scenes. Both magician and magician, however, are as important to their powers as their powers are to them. Without a conduit, power itself is impotent and useless. With his powers, the magician holds influence over all. Theory and practice, logic and emotion, thought and action. Almost every modern depiction of the magician includes one or more symbols of infinity to denote his limitless power. The snake eating its tail, and the lemniscat being chief amongst these. The limitless power comes from sources outside his body, yet under his control. And as long as the magician remembers that this power is his to command, even if he loses his worldly power and skill, he can never truly be called powerless. For his will is a power that, while it can be subdued, it can never be destroyed. Another nearly universal association with the magician is the red and white colour scheme. This theme reoccurs throughout the tarot, and it is very symbolic that it starts with this card and not the Fool. But while the Fool was the potential for positive and negative, the magician is the union of positive and negative. He creates and he preserves. He destroys and he redeems. His true power is not only that he knows what he must do, but he knows how he must do it and why he must do it. Then he does it. The magician reminds us that wish alone will change nothing, but decision will change everything. A desire to create is nothing without the ability to create, and vice versa. When the magician appears, he shows you that you are ready to become a conduit for power like he is. The forces of creation and destruction have always been at your command, but now you have the wisdom and confidence needed to use them constructively. Now is the time to act, if you know what it is you want to accomplish and why. Since the powers of transformation are at your command, change your desires into objectives, your thoughts into actions, your goals into achievements. If you have recently met with failure, now you can change that failure into success as easily as the magician changes fire into water. The only limits that you have are those that you impose on yourself. The outward manifestation of such power are as numerous as they are varied, but the most common outer effect of the magician's influence is unswayed and total confidence. The realization that the world is under your control is what inspires this kind of confidence, and with good reason. So go out into the world, set your mind to whatever goal you are interested in, and then just stand back and watch as everything falls into place under your command. Ultimately, the message of the magician is a simple one. Despite its limitless and infinitely complex power, your life is under your control. Your life is what you want it to be. Your life is what you make it.